Politics is our family business. We have a very interesting scenario right here, the 8th Congressional District, which was really owned and operated by Mike Rogers, if you want to put it that way, who's decided to come into the radio business instead of run for re-election. And so it's an open seat. And a lot of people will presume that that's a Republican seat because it has been for so long, but one must remember that Mike Rogers only won by 12 votes or something like that back in the day. So here we have two candidates with us for the Democrats who will be running in the primary on August 5th, Susan Grettenberger, a Lansing Democrat, and the director of the social work program at CMU.
That's right. Thank you for having me
Welcome to
here.
the program.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your decision to run.
Well, thank you.
Now, sitting right next to you, what normally would seem to be an uncomfortable situation is another Democrat in the race to go to Congress, Jeffrey Hank, East Lansing Democrat, an attorney, and one of the people who led the marijuana decriminalization efforts. Welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having us.
I like your shirt, Hank for Congress.
I'll sell you one for a donation. I'm just kidding. No quid pro quo or anything.
So let me understand what's happening here. You're sitting here together, dogs and cats. I mean, you would think that you're bitter opponents, but somehow you've formed a little bit of an alliance?
Well, we don't intend to be better opponents. I got into this race because I felt that people needed to have a better representation in Congress. More people needed to be represented by the person who was in Congress for this district, and especially around issues of education, economy, equality, and the environment. And my goal is, and my desire is to get the seat into hands. I obviously think that I'm a better candidate. That's why I'm still in the race. But I also really want to make sure that people get a chance to vote for the person that they think best represents them. You know, and toward that end, we're pushing for there to be more opportunities for people to see us together, to be able to talk to us, to be able to hear our positions.
So what you want to do is sort of break that Republican stronghold that I talked about come the general election. So by working together and appearing together, there's strength in numbers, is that it?
Well, you know, there's such a problem in politics, Michael, so much negativity. And when you have candidates that can't even sit down and debate each other or talk or have a beer after a hard day at work or whatever, there's a real problem. So even though we're competing for the seat, I think Susan and I both realize there's some problem with the electoral culture in America. And even though we have different beliefs, we're unified that we want voters to be informed, we want them to make the best decision, and we think they deserve to hear the message because that's how this democracy functions best. So in that sense, we're working together to improve the culture here.
Do you believe people who think this is a foregone conclusion, it's a Republican district?
Oh, absolutely not. I can tell you I've had numerous Republicans, moderates, and independents all say they'll vote for a Democrat if we're the more serious candidate on policy. People are fed up with politics across the board, and I think if you have someone who's honest with integrity and speaks about improving policy and reaches out to people, that this is absolutely a competitive seat, which is rare.
Why you to Congress? Why you, Mrs. Grettenberger?
You know, I'm a social work professor. I'm in education. I'm a social worker who has seen a lot of people struggling around us. Working families, both middle class and working poor, are really pretty much getting beat up by what's going on right now. And there's a lot of talk about trickle down doesn't. My students are getting really crushed by the amount of debt that they come away with. When I was in college, there was a whole generation, more than one generation of people who could go to college, come out of college with an education, get a good job. Right now, students can barely get an education. K-12 has been really dismantled, and we need to do better around issues like the economy and education and the environment. And we don't feel like the representation that's been there in Congress right now is doing that. We're moving in the wrong direction, and we'd like to turn this ship back toward working for the families in our district.
Susan Grettenberger, candidate for Congress. Now, what about you? I'll ask you the same question, Jeffrey Hank. Why you?
Well, the theme of my campaign is that we need an American Renaissance. In order to have that Renaissance, we have to elect statesmen and stateswomen, not typical politicians. We suffer from a dearth of leadership, a leadership deficit in this country at the state level, local level, and at the federal level. I don't feel that I have a representative in Congress. So that's part of the reason I'm running. The same thing, to fight for the working class families, the middle class families, really to fight for everybody, though, to protect civil liberties, to protect the environment, to have open government that works for the people. And when you see these continued dysfunction, gridlock, tomfoolery coming from across the political spectrum, it's really a call to civic duty, and everyone should get involved in this. And part of what I'm trying to do is inspire people and talk about real ideas and talk about policy and let people know that if I can do this, you can do this, and everyone else should do this, and you should get involved because that, again, participation in an informed electorate is how America is going to be a strong country, and that's what I aim to inspire people and to get people involved.
Did you reach out to Eric Schertzing as well?
Yeah, I absolutely.
He didn't want to join the he didn't want to get involved in your effort here together?
Yeah, he actually has participated.
Oh, he has.
Part of what we're doing right now, yeah, I mean, we've reached out to everybody. In fact, we're trying to put together another forum in Ingham County, and we think, well, we've got it scheduled. There's a forum tonight. It's a very small venue relative to the number of voters, so
Where's that?
IBEW 665, 5205 South Penn tonight. The candidates are scheduling another forum for next week at Central United Methodist at 215 North Capitol, which will be from 7:30 till 9.
Well, let's talk again before the primary. Susan Grettenberger and Jeffrey Hank, Democrats in the 8th.